Christians. Why? Because he was a perfect model of manhood. He teaches us that the true strength is found in sacrifice. He sacrificed himself for the sake of many. And he said, true friendship is when you lay down your life for your friends. Like a shepherd. A good shepherd lays down his life for the sake of the sheep. But we have leaders today that lay down the life of the sheep so that they can save themselves. See that contrast. So be the leader who is a perfect man and perfect manhood that finds strength in sacrifice, finds strength in service, finds strength in discipline, finds strength in compassion and integrity and courage. So he always consistently told his followers, do not fear. Even when they were in a storm, he told them, do not fear. And he calmed the storms. He told them, take heart. So be the man who tells people when there is a storm, take heart. Everything will be okay. And let your light shine. That is courage. Courage is taking care of those who are in the storm and telling them it will be okay. Even if sometimes you don't know how the storm is going to end. So his life calls us to rise up, not to retreat. And that's what I have come here to say. And just like David, you will have your slingshot moment. Say your slingshot moment. You know a slingshot? The one for throwing a stone. David used a slingshot to kill a commando. Because this commando had all this armor, you could not penetrate anywhere, but between the eyes, they forgot to cover that part. And that's the part that the stone went through. So even the corruption in this country and the impunity, there is a soft spot between the eyes. That's why you should take aim. So just like David, you may feel too young, or you may feel too unprepared, or you may feel too inexperienced, or too limited in your resources. But I'm here to tell you, your age is not a limitation. But your fear is. Your fear and shame is your limitation. So we must overcome them. Your background, where you came from, is not your barrier, but your mindset and the stories that you believe in are your barriers. So every generation has its Goliaths. And I think we have told ourselves what our Goliaths are. Do we know what our Goliaths are? What are your Goliaths? Yes? Is it corruption? Is it impunity? Is it unemployment? Is it the toxic narratives against men? Slay them with 5 smooth stones and a slingshot. This is your slingshot moment. So where are your 5 smooth stones? And that is why I am very happy with the Tukokadi initiative. Because for the first time, the voter's card and your ID are part of your 5 smooth stones. They can bring down the Goliaths. So in conclusion, I want to charge you as men. And today I speak to you not as boys, but as men of valor. Men of strength and men of purpose and men of faith. Arise. Arise, O men of valor. Arise in your families. Arise in your communities. Arise in churches. Arise in this university. Arise in this nation. Say, my light has come. My moment is now. My calling is here. Nikokadi. Yes, we are here. God bless you.
Come on, let us put our hands together and appreciate the Secretary General of NCCK. We can do better than that. Now, we are bringing a machine that is going to detect those people who do not have kadi. There will be no eating. It is suicidal to be here and you do not have a vote. You do not have your voting card. Are we okay now? I want us to put our hands together for Muhesh. He is already arrived. He's here with us. Let us put our hands together and appreciate him. I know we admire him. For some reason, this generation only relates to certain people. And they relate to certain virtues and to certain characters. And because I had an advantage of meeting him when he was a little bit younger than now. You know, 8 years is not a joke. And he looks similar, by the way. I met Muhesh when I was the president of Moranga High School then, in one of the best schools in this country, in Kiharu. And he's just visited us to see how everything was. And 8 years later, I have seen his growth, and I appreciate that today I get to sit down here and to listen to you, Muhesh. Karibu sana. With all that said, I would wish to invite Madam Pauline. Great. I want to invite our dean. For those of us who have not met the dean is the one person who has, men in campus don't hug. Let me say that about the dean. Men in campus, they don't do what? They don't, and I think it's time we change this. Men tukionana after a long time tuko, muko fiti? Ama mnafanya nini? The first person to ever hug me around here is Dean. That day I was just like, oh my God, this feels... Even your dad, does your dad hugs you guys? And therefore it's such an honor that Dean is teaching us such a new thing. That ama yetu ni ile ya, ni aje mzae. And then mnagongana hivi, hey, kitambo. Will you put our hands together and appreciate the Dean as he comes so that he will take us to the next program? Let us put our hands together and appreciate Dean Global. Karibu sana.
Thank you, George Wateto. Let me recognize the presence of the General Secretary of the NCCK, Reverend Chris Cannon Kinyajui, our chief guest for today, the beloved MP for Kiharu, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, our Madam Pauline, the only mother in the house. It's by purpose and by design. Our Reverend Hosea Kiprono Arap Mitei, the chaplain of the University of Nairobi, all other guests invited, comrades, good morning. Yes, as you have heard from George Wateto, my name is Johnson Kinywa, the Dean of Students here at the University of Nairobi. It's an honor to welcome you to Ufungamano Center, where we are co-hosting Men's Kikao with my sister Pauline. She's the MD for Ufungamano. And because I want to give more time, which was allocated to me, to my brother, Honorable Ndindi, I will only take a few moments if you allow me. When we were organizing this with Pauline and the chaplains, we felt that the boy child is somehow facing more challenges, maybe than the girl child. And we felt it's high time to nurture the boy child to occupy their space in the society, in the academia, and wherever they are. And from where I sit, it is only in the universities where destinies are shaped. So if we don't shape your destiny while you're at the university, you might lose it for life. And therefore, it will be a regular forum inviting boy child every year to have a discussion. A boy child has two genes, X and Y. That means you have ability to produce girls and to produce boys. So inside of you, you have girls, you have the boys. So it's a universal forum that have everybody. And inside of you, there is a seed. And that seed, if it's not nurtured, it might be wasted. True or false? And if you read John 12:24, it says, unless the seed of the grain falls into the ground and die, to underline the word die. It abides alone. But if it dies, it produces much, much more fruits. Are we together? So dying is the process of training, incubation, and reaching your potential. And the seed literally does not die. The seed may die, but the potential inside of it does not die. It only stays in the soil, waiting for the right opportunity for it to sprout. Are we together? So the challenges of finance, mental health, may look like it is killing your dream or your visions. But your potential in you does not die. It's only waiting for a conducive environment for it to germinate. Sindio? Sikuna mbegu siko kwa mchanga before the rain started. They were there, but nobody could not know what they are there. Because the heat, the sun, everything. But when the rain came, you start seeing a lot of germination. Are we together? It's the same here. Some of you are bogged down, lentil issues, quinama, mental health, academic pressure, deferral, name it. Relationship, drugs, almost to kill. Looking like that seed has died, but the potential is still there. We are here to fall the rain of mentorship to bring out the best in you. And the best thing to do is to know yourself. How do you know yourself? Because if you don't know yourself, then anything that people tells you, you tend to believe. So there is a book in Habakkuk, I love it. I will stand in the watch and I will hear what the Lord will say to me. So that watch is the inner chamber where you sit yourself to meditate, to reflect, to say, who am I? Why am I here? You have a conversation with yourself. And verse 2 says, write down the vision. Because in that moment on conversation, God will say something. Are we together? And in that something, you write it down. Though it tarry, wait for it. For it will surely do what? Come to pass. And that brings me to one man I love so much. Mwainchi Kibaki. Young man from Mudaya. In 1971, when he was barely 40 years, he was the finance minister of Kenya during Mzee Kenyatta's government. He had a lot of potential. Are we together? The potential we had discovered. And he discovered it in Makerere University back in 1958 when he was, I think, studying economics like our Honorable Mwainchi here. And when he came back, he said, I want to work with government because I want to shape the economy of Kenya. Imagine he was still a student. The potential was still there. The seed was there. So he came and enrolled in 1959 as a KANU officer, like an executive officer in the KANU government. Kenya had not gotten independent, but he had a vision because he knew. So he grew up until 1971 when he was a finance minister. And one of the president of the World Bank then, called Robert McNamara, said about him, Kibaki is one of the greatest economic brains to have emerged from Africa. That time he was growing the economy of Kenya between 6 to 7%. He was a technocrat beside being a politician. He was not just a politician. He was prudent in public spending. And he focused on monetary stability and planning of the economy. That potential, that seed of rearranging the economy took another 30 years, up to 2002, for him to become the president of the Republic of Kenya. You see, the seeds don't die. They remain in the soil, waiting for an opportunity to sprout. And during Kibaki's time, 2002, most of you are 2006 born, 2004, 2008. You are 2 years before you are born. We got free education, infrastructure, health, and everything sprouted. Farmers got money in their pocket, everything. And what I'm trying to say is that you have the potential. Our responsibility as a university is to nurture that potential. Despite everything that is happening in you, that potential will not die. Can I hear amen? And if you observe the seed of a bean, you may plant it here, water it, but because it has a destiny of producing beans, it will not produce it while it's inside the dark loom. It finds its own way where there is sunlight through a process called photosynthesis. And when it goes to where the sunlight is, it starts manifesting. It starts producing now the bean. You may be put a boulder of so many challenges, but your potential in you will find its way and find its sunlight where you will manifest. And that time is coming. But as I conclude, you need to have a focus. The focus is like that grass lens. Tukiwa primary level, you can relate with that. Shule zetu hazikuwa na vioo, not like the model Kiharu where Mheshimiwa Ndindi has put the grass, the tiles, everything. Yet so the sun hits the class directly, saa 4. So we were a bit naughty boys. So tunakuwa na hiyo kakio, kanaitangwa magnifying lens. So tunakaa na girls, tunamulika, sister anaanza kujikuna, anaongeza speed. And I started, when we were doing physics now in Form 3, I wondered, why did we do that? Because you concentrate your layers of sun in one focus, which can even burn the paper. Is that true? So when you discover the purpose, you focus all your energy and you delete all the unnecessary things out of your life and you focus on the something at heart. And for you to have self-awareness, which brings to a purpose, you have to discover that potential in you, develop it into full potential through training and skills development, and then demonstrate it to the public through service. And through that, you have discovered the 3D, discover, develop, and demonstrate. But every 3D dimension thing, it must have something inside. It's not just a container with breadth, legs, and head. You must have a character, competence, and commitment. So we call it 3D plus 3C equals to competent leadership, which brings the best for our society. And finally, George Washington, the first president of the United States, said, discipline is the soul of an army. It makes a small numbers formidable. It procures success to the weak and esteem to all. For you to achieve all this, the focus, the purpose, the potential development, you must have a discipline. Discipline in your finance, discipline in your spiritual life, discipline in your academic, discipline in your moral. You cannot just have a loose moral, you get. And if you look at alphabetical A to Z, A equals 1, Z is 26. So if you put discipline, you put D is 4, I is, I think, 6. You add up. It is the only word plus the attitude which makes 100%. All other words equals to 60, 70, even success is 89 points. But discipline, because it makes the foundation of success in any life, it comes 100%. And I want you to do that in your notebook, like A1, B2, all the way to Z26. Then you write the word discipline. D, where the D falls, like number 4, I, like that. It just tell you 100% that if you are disciplined in pursuing your purpose, you become the most formidable person that the world will envy to have. With those few remarks, allow me to invite our chief guest of the day, His Excellency Honorable Dr. Ndindi Nyoro. Makofi kwake. Asante sana. We can rise up in honor of our Mheshimiwa. Thank you very much. Mheshimiwa, karibu sana. Please mentor our students. Thank you very much.
Tafadhali tuketi. Thank you very much, Dean, our Dean in the University of Nairobi, the Dean of Students, Mr. Johnson Kenyua, Madam Pauline, Reverend Chaplain Arap Mitei, our NCCK SecGen, Reverend Chris Kenyajui, and all the other guests who are here, including our MC, George Watetu, and especially comrades. Good morning. Comrades, power. Comrades, power. Your power ni powerless. Time power. Hebu tuamke comrades. Comrades peke yake. Ustretch kidogo. Na ugonge huyo mtu wako on your right, mwambie changamka. I have come here with my phone so that I check time, because I want to speak for a few minutes, and then I request my brother, our Dean, Mr. Kenyua, that comrades can ask a few questions so that isikue kama lecture. Najua lecture mumezieda sana this week, so story ya lecture nitajaribu kupunguza kidogo. I am very pleased to be here today. The last time I came here at Ufugamano, I was a student leader in KU. Na ilikuwa maneno ya siasa. I think that time we were coming for the DP party then, when President Kibaki was gathering for his second term, and it wasn't very clear which party he will vie with. And from that time, we could meet also here with civil society. And there is one civil society called NCCK, I remember very clearly, that I used to come a student leader, hiyo maneno ya advocacy. By that time, it was being led by Cyprian Nyamwamu. And those are the bases to which we also became leaders. But before I come to the topic of the day, I have to say that I'm very, very pleased to be here as a member of parliament for Kiharu. As you have read and seen in many forums, Kiharu tumengangana because it's one of the largest rural constituencies. Actually, our NCCK SecGen was previously the clerk of the County Assembly of Murang'a, and therefore he's very well versed with that area. It's one of the largest rural constituencies in Kenya, and we have around 112 public primary schools. Na nyinyi kama wadosi wetu kama viongozi, I'm reporting my scorecard to you that all our public primary schools in a rural constituency called Kiharu, all of them are tiled, all of them without exception. And when we talk about tiling, it's not just about waking up and putting tiles and fixing tiles. It is holistic work. We have been able to refurbish all our schools. We have made them to be institutions that are enviable in our localities. And we have done that with a purpose. The second thing that I'm very proud of is that Kiharu, we have around 65 day secondary schools. And we have actually built around 8 from scratch, new ones. And actually one we launched last month, we have named it Mwainchi Day Secondary School in Kiharu. And out of the 65 day secondary schools, covering 12,000 learners, who are your successors? Your predecessors of those people who are in our day schools, here as comrades. Covering all the around 12,000, our school fees in Kiharu, courtesy of NGCDF and a program called Kiharu Masomo Bora, our school fees is only 500 per term. And learners eat in school. Kwa hiyo 500 hakuna story ingine sijui mtatoa ya chakula. Learners eat in school from Monday to Saturday. And they eat some mchanganyiko. Those of us from rural areas, you know, if you are from Lower Eastern, your staple food in the school is mudokoi almost every day. And depending on where our staple food is and where we lie geographically. And in our place, of course, you know it's githeri. But we have made it to be much more exciting. Learners eat 3 days rice, 3 days githeri, but the last Friday of the month, they actually eat chapati for lunch. And this is not a promise I'm promising them. We have been doing it. You know, I need to give that caveat. I'm not promising what you are going to do. I'm reporting what you've been doing. And we have also been able to do holistic landscaping in 65 of our learning institutions, which is day schools, that is secondary, and also primary schools. Na tumeweza kuweka kabro zile mnaona kwa Facebook wenye mnaona. I want to confirm that it is true. They are taken from the ground. 65 of them. This August we are going to do some. August others. We keep doing them every single holiday. And we stagger them so that we are able to supervise well. We are able to achieve all that because to do like the ones I'm telling you, we've started 8 new secondary schools. We do it through labor-based. This one for works, public works. We only get support, technical support from them, but the rest of the work is done by the local community. So that every shilling inabaki hapo kwa ground, and every utility of the money, none leaves again Kiharu to come to Nairobi. Hawezi toa pesa Nairobi upeleke Kiharu, alafu irudi Nairobi, either through taxes or through profits from the contractors. Now, coming to this hall today, and that's why I said I don't want to talk too much. When I joined KU, in my first year, I joined a club called KUESA, Kenyatta University Economic Students Association. And I actually became chairman of KUESA for the entire KU when I was in first year, in my second sem. And we used to organize those who were before us. There was a chairman called Karuga, was a chairman before I became chairman. And they used to organize these kind of forums. I was also in CU, but kiti ya nyuma. I was in CU, but not the front rows. Hizo zingine. And they also used to organize these kind of events. And I want to show you just one word from this kind of an event can shape your thinking all your life. So one time we had organized a career forum, which had been organized by KUESA, Kenyatta University Economic Students Association. And they had invited some gentlemen, I think from either PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, or Deloitte, one of the two. So this gentleman told us one thing. It may look very shallow, but I've always done it by default from listening that day. So this guy, he was talking about how you vile unavaa kama mwanaume. It doesn't seem like it's important for us in this hall, but it was a topic that was handled that day. And I am glad I was there. So they told us, as a man, when you wear a light trouser in terms of color, you then wear a darker shirt. I know mnajiuliza sasa huyu jamaa anatuambia story ya kuvaa. I'm just telling you what I had then and I've always practiced so that you see these kind of forums are never in vain. Nikatika hapo. Then they told us, you can't wear a suit and a sport shoe. And I've never done that since. Then they told us something else. I actually don't remember the name of the person who said it, but I remember what he said. Then he told us in terms of grooming as a man, the official wear. So hiyo story ya trouser ndio nimalize. Wakatuambia, then ukivaa trouser dark, you can't wear then with a dark top. You know, by the way, inverted. Me, I used to think, to be smart, you wear a black trouser and a black shirt. So inakaa suti. That's what I used to think. My mind changed that day. Then in terms of grooming, I am discussing official colors like our NCCK, SecGen. There are some official colors which you have to wear based on your career. Then they told us one more thing. That men, suits. This is something profound. Was so small, but it shaped me up to this day. And I was in campus that time. I was in first year. So they told us there are only 3 colors for men's suits. They told us that day. Blue, gray, and black. Then they told us you can take any shade from there, but it should not be too shouting. So they told us, okay, you can choose a suit. I'm talking about official wear. I'm not talking about artistic wear. So they told us if you are choosing blue, there's some blue that really shouts. And then they told us, when you wear has no stripes or has no boxes, then let me first finish here. So, nimesema suti ya mwanaume ni karas gani? I'm not saying what you should do. I'm saying what I had and have been doing since then. Blue, gray, black. Then they told us, don't choose shouting colors for official wear. And then the other thing, when you wear those kind of what I've mentioned, the shirt should always be bright. They told us you can't wear a blue suit with a dark blue shirt. So they told us the men, when you wear that way, then the shirt has always to be bright. It can be white, it can be light blue, it can be like pink, whatever. And then the ties. Wakatuambia, anytime you wear a shirt that is plain, then wear a tie that is a striped ama iko na maua kidogo. Naona wengine wanajiangalia kama wako sawa. And the same day they told us, when you wear a striped shirt iko na stripes, then don't wear a tie that is too flowery or striped. I've always done that to date. When you mumenut, sawa, maybe itawasaidia pahali kwa interview. So the reason I've said that is because many times we come to these kind of forums and we think we have wasted time as comrades. Because we bombard you with too much information, but maybe many times we don't communicate the basics. Can you imagine that day? It was a full career day. Many people talked to us. I don't remember any other person what they said, but I remember those minute details, and they have shaped what I do to date. Now, let me go to men now. We are here as men from the University of Nairobi, the premier university in Kenya, which I'm also an alumni. Because you know I graduated with my master's the other day. So I did my bachelor's in KU, bachelor's of arts in economics. I came here, I think 2-3 years ago, and I went to KU around the same time. In KU, I enrolled for Masters of Economics, Policy and Management, and your volume iko poa, DJ. I think it's better. So, and I also came here, University of Nairobi, and I enrolled for MA Economics. And I have completed all of them and graduated. And the reason I had come to enroll for the 2 masters, what I thought, I read a lot. Economics, finance, history, leadership, politics. That's my cup of tea. So I thought, since I have read so many books, why can't I go enroll for masters to get a certificate for what I thought I already knew? Because I thought I had read everything. But I'm glad when I enrolled for my masters here and in KU, I confirmed the things I knew, but I was also able to read and learn many more new things. And around the same time, I enrolled for a short course in the London School of Economics, which I have also finished. And next month, I'll be starting another executive certificate at Harvard University. And all those are about economics. Because I've come to realize, if we just get it right economically, in any leadership cadre in Kenya, then we'll have sorted even the politics of Kenya. Because politics is always about survival, is always about the fight for resources. If we get somebody who can bake a bigger cake, and if we get a formula which we can bake a bigger cake as Kenya, and our GDP per capita climbs higher, and our incomes per person climbs higher, and every person's productivity is enhanced by creating jobs, then we will have solved even whatever else we say in political gatherings. And that is the reason why it's a challenge to all of us as leaders that in our decision making, because they are too weighty, we make decisions not for ourselves and our homes. We make decisions about the destinies of so many people. Then it is our responsibility to make sure that the decisions we make are the best. And you only make the best decision by refining it every day, so that you keep on amending your conclusions. You keep on removing dogma from your decision making, so that your decision making can influence people in a better way and progresses our society. So, I'll give you this talk in a manner of some stories, because I don't want to be too academic. I have come to realize as a politician, as a businessman also, some of the things that cut across in whatever you are pursuing as a man, in whatever you are pursuing as a Kenyan, as a citizen of the world. And I want to challenge all of us here. As a man, strive to be accountable and dependable. Strive to be accountable and dependable. When you close school and you go home, you are still a baby at your home. Even this is fine. That your parents or your guardians can't take a break because they have a baby at home and you're a comrade. That every time somebody at home has to check on you. Oh, John, umekula supper? Otieno, did you take lunch? Your parent at home in Homa Bay is calling you here. You are a comrade at University of Nairobi to look after you and how you are faring. Gentlemen, Now that you are a comrade already in the university, you are already a mature man. You should be a solution provider. You should no longer be a bother now to the people you left in the village and in the estates. And I can tell you, even us, when I was joining KU, mi vile barua ilikuja ya kwenda KU as an undergrad, it was then my business to know how I'm joining KU, including fees for the first sem. So I left Muranga. I had been a volunteer librarian in the school I was in. So venye tulikaribia kujoin university, I came here to Nairobi. Nikaenda industrial area, got a kibarua in a size company called Taita Estates. Did some vibaruas. By the time we were reporting as freshers, mi nilikuwa already niko na fees ya my first semester. Now of course nikalipa na nikaongeza help kidogo. And I can tell you the entire time I was in KU, no one came to check ati nafanya nini KU ama kuangalia nararanga wapi. Wewe ukiwa mwanaume huko, wewe ukilala nje lala. Ungangane kimwanaume. It's only one time my sister came, not necessarily it was just a visit kuniona tu, but not to check huyu jamaa anafanya nini na anararanga wapi. So when you are a comrade, this is the place where you start first of all developing that responsible person you want to become. And you become responsible by being dependable and accountable. So that people are no longer worried about what you are doing. It is you who is worried about whether your mother had some uga ya kupika. It should not be the other way around. And every time you think about this, because it's holistic, it's not just about being a comrade. It is also about in real life. There is a story that's given, maybe you have read it, about a king. It's a mythical story. A king who had gone by the roadside, in a road where the road had been blocked by a log. Muti ikianguka na ikaanguka kwa barabara. So the king was somewhere else. That time it was precious metals, gold. Na akaichukua. And then the king came from the place he was looking at. Na akaita huyo farmer. Akamwambia, actually, that past from today belongs to you. It was worth the millions of money now today. And he also promoted him as a man in the society to be in the king's court. Because of all the people who had passed that road, he had exhibited responsibility that does not only enhance his own convenience, but also the convenience of the other people. So malipo yake ikakuwa hapo hapo instantly, but also in the long run, his livelihood was improved from that day. Many times when we are here in the university, we are in our homes, we get jobs, we become members of the society. We only want to look inwards. What is my own convenience? Without looking at the convenience of the general population. Responsibility, accountability stretches beyond you. It also stretches to others. So that you can sleep late at night, not just thinking about you and your convenience, but also thinking about others, thinking about the world, thinking about Kenya. Because when we make the world a better place, even us, our lives are enhanced. As a man, number two, you have to be forthright and firm. There is no man, mtu wa kuyubayuba na upepo. Forthright and firm comes in even in decision making. You've come all the way. You attended a day school in your home. You attended a national school. You came to the University of Nairobi. But because you are frivolous, when people say, let's mock this, then you are jumping in the bandwagon. Let me also try. When people say we have to go clubbing, without even knowing whether there is utility in that, you jump in the bandwagon. If you have to club because you know you are getting utility out of it, and it's your decision. Whatever decision you are making, let it be your firm, forthright decision. Let it not be a wavering decision that is influenced by the opinion of others. But then when you consider your opinions, what you hear called considered opinions, they are called considered opinions because they are not just opinions from the air. You have been able to hit it on the wall and you have tested those opinions. Once you have formed those opinions about you and your life, then be firm and defend them. And you defend them in terms of doing, but also in terms of speaking. So whatever you think is right, defend it. And you owe no one an apology. Many times when you're in such an institution where we are likely to have hard mentality, most of our decision making is based on watu watanibeba aje sasa, watu watanichukulia aje, watu wagani, in 4 years utaona nani hapo sasa. The friends you had in your primary schools, how many do you have now out of that? The ones who are your best friends in high school, how many are still your best friends to date? That should tell you the graduation of friendship. Life is dynamic. You are likely to shed off your older friends. You're not going to make them your enemies, but you're not going to be as close. So many times we make a far-reaching decision based on pleasing my current friend. Your current friend may not necessarily be your tomorrow's friend because life is dynamic. You may relocate to the US. You'll have new friends there. You'll go work in this farm. There will be new friendships there. So be forthright and firm. And even in your leadership, because even here I'm sure I'm talking to leaders of today and tomorrow. Be firm. Whatever you think is right, defend it. And don't defend it just because you want to be seen in the gallery. Defend it because you believe you should defend it. And of course that means also being courageous. There is something I want you to keep studying called emotional intelligence. I'm sure you've heard about it. But I want you to, because uko na phone, badala tu ya kuangalia reels, some of these things may also be good and beneficial. Keep on polishing your emotional intelligence so that if you have an A and then you have a first class or a second upper, when people look at you, do they see that first class in you? That forms part of the general intelligence. When you are here in campus, yes, hostel, library, hostel, library, hostel, library. If that was the world, the ideal world, every village should be having a hostel and a library. The ideal world is more broader than that. So cultivate you as a holistic person, not a person who can only be described through hostel, class, and library. A holistic person volunteers in leadership roles even when there is nothing to gain from it. A holistic person, saa zingine unakuwa kiberebere. Kiberebere is where you stick your neck out. And by sticking your neck out, you start being given responsibilities you never had. And it's upon those responsibilities that you shape yourself. One day, when I was a student leader in KU, I was the academic secretary. We attended the Senate executive, it was the full Senate meeting. So Professor Mogenda was our vice chancellor. And I was there with a suit. Kuna mtu anaweza nitoa jia. Mimi ni student leader. We were representing comrades in the Senate with the chairman. Utanitoaje jia, comrade power. So mimi nimeenda pale meeting. Maprofesa wamejaa, heads of departments. Then, we were discussing something about seeking for internship opportunities for comrades. So the chair was there, the VC. Then I am there raising my hand to give a point. Then I'm given an opportunity. Si hall imejaa. Senate inakuanga kubwa. There are not few people. So imejaa watu wengi. So I rise. Naanza kusema story ya kutafutia comrades, internships. Then along, nikiwa katikati ya kupeana my brief speech, nikasahau chenye nilikuwa nasema. I was wishing the ground ipasuke inimeze because of embarrassment. You know, I'm telling you now, it doesn't seem like it's heavy. It is until it happens to you now. Uko mbele ya CU, ulikuwa unasema kitu, ukiwa katikati usahau. na hall imejaa mko CU, ndio uko unaita preacher. Uko katikati because you are so nervous. Uhang. I was so disappointed with myself. I was so embarrassed. But after that meeting, I decided I can't live down forever. I have to wake up from the ground, na nijipaguze vumbi na niendelee. And I started learning about public speaking. So that day, which was the biggest trigger for me, that when you're invited somewhere to talk, be prepared. And also, it also helped me in terms of easing pressure and easing anxiety when you are talking before people. Many people, including the best public speakers, they say that this is the hardest art there is. But it never seems so when you are listening. And when you are used. It's very difficult when you are developing. So I'm here to challenge you. When you've tried to speak before people and you are not too successful, that was never a way to tell you are not a public speaker. It was a way to tell you you can be a very good public speaker, lakini wajibike. Na uanze kujitrain. Whatever you have failed in, it was not a way of telling you get out, you don't belong here. It was a way of telling you, go and prepare better. You will actually succeed among all the people you got in this hall. Because out of that embarrassment, I can say, maybe out of the people who are in that hall, maybe after that, I've had a privilege to talk to more people than all the people who are in that hall that day. You get what I'm saying? So emotional intelligence is beyond public speaking. It's about how you harness your emotions. It's about your patience. It's about your facial expression. It's about everything else other than the grade you get that starts in for you. Some things are never by default. For example, when you watch somebody, let's say Xi Jinping, the president of China, and you watch Vladimir Putin, you never see them in a meeting, smiling, unnecessarily laughing. There is a way, even when you sit with that person, over time they have been able to harness themselves. They are banal. Banal meaning, when I'm speaking to you, nikiongea na wewe, I can learn so much about you without you uttering a word. Because I'm watching at you, ukiongea, I'm seeing more than you are speaking. Now those kind of leaders, and that's what I want you to be, have been able to harness themselves. They do not unnecessarily exhibit emotionalism, because emotionalism is a weakness. So when Putin is doing a bilateral somewhere, you never see him laughing, forgetting, facial expressions. The same way he started, he says, even if you do something so funny, he'll grin a little bit and go back to default settings. Look at Xi Jinping. Every time, look at his photos, the ones you know, and all the TVs, interviews you have ever seen him. Same facial expression. Why? You are representing over 1 billion people, Chinese people. You can no longer afford to be emotional, including not emotional in terms of doing, emotional even in exhibiting. So what I'm trying to say, start knowing yourself early, know your weakness. I can't speak before people. Start learning how to be a better person. Start seeing that, or learning about yourself. You forget a lot when you're speaking to people. Hizo ni tujinga, uodoe. Ukipewa mic una shake. It doesn't tell you throw the mic. It tells you start perfecting it, getting more opportunities, harnessing internal courage, and shedding off anxiety. Emotional intelligence is all that route. It's bigger than what I've said. Because of time, you read about it. It will help you, believe you me. Resilient. Resilient as a man. Hizi vitu unajua tunazisema hapa, zinakaa tu class. Tumezisikia hizi vitu from primary school. Hata high school tukasikia. Yani hata unit tunaongelewa story ya kuwa resilient. Maybe the reason they are repeated is because of how far-reaching they are. The most celebrated US president is called Abraham Lincoln. When you see Abraham Lincoln in the photo, what you see there is not only the former president of the US. You see resilience in a photo. In the Kenyan setup, a man vies for MCA, he doesn't win. He wins for MP, he doesn't win. He wins for Senate, he doesn't win. He vies for Senate, he doesn't win. He vies as a running mate to be vice president of the US. Their ticket collapses. You know, saa zingine tukisema hizi vitu zinakaaga tu story. Hebu jiweke hapo kwa hizo shoes. You are a Kenyan, you vie for MCA, unaanguka. MP, unaanguka. In subsequent years, for Senate, ukaanguka. To be running mate, now president, ukasema nimeanguka hizi zingine zote wacha nikuwe running mate. Pia hiyo mnaanguka. Unavai president, unapita. And after passing and after the victory, you become the most far-reaching American president who united the US to be what it is today. Gentlemen, as I'm speaking to you, the small things you passed, zile zinafanya roho yako karibu ina crash. I am here as your fellow man to tell you, that's nothing. You have not done anything yet. For you to be a man who can be far-reaching in terms of impact later, those small failures you have had, they should only be part of building you. They should never be part of putting you down because they are nothing. This guy had even a mental breakdown. Juu ya kuanguka hizo vitu zote. Then anapita kuwa president wa US. Na anakuwa the most far-reaching, the most celebrated, the most remembered. As a man, you cannot be anything else other than resilient. Saa zingine mimi naongea hivi saa hii na Mike. Naongea hivyo kwa sababu that's what I believe in. Na resilience ni also, even when there are hiccups in politics, in your academics, in leadership, those hiccups, already you preempt them because you already knew you are coming. So I'm here. So hakuna kitu ya kukushtua kama mwanaume. No one. And I think it's at this point I should tell you, in this world, you as men, you must only always fear God, no other person, no other situation. Na mimi nawaambia kama mtu wako siasa. And I also want to tell you, I'm telling you what I practice. Mimi hii dunia siogopi binadamu yeyote. None. But I only fear God. Hata huu jamaa unaogopa, hawezi manufacture hata oxygen yake ya 2 minutes. Unamuogopa juu ya nini sasa? Abiwe a manufacture oxygen yake. Hawezi. Then akuogopa kwa nini? You know, that gives you now, I'm not just not talking about people. I'm talking about situations. A situation comes, sometimes you see, hii sasa hii imenigonga ile mbaya. But ile inakugogesha kwa ukuta, it's making you stronger and harder. I went to the best primary school there was, the best university there was. Akakobolewa hata nyumba outside campus, asiharibiwe huko. After that, akatoka, akatafutiwa job na mzazi wake. And in between, akapatizwa at the right time, akawekelewa mkono at the right time. Ukiangalia saa zingine most of the time, those normal, they also live normal lives. Me, I never came here to talk to you to live normal lives. Normal lives where you just go through the world, no one notices and you exit. No. As a comrade here, I came here to talk to you because you form the critical mass of people who should impact the world in a better way. And you can always do that when you are resilient. There is no storm that comes unaogopa. Unaifesi hivi. Either inapita ama mnapambana nayo. Unaniangaliaje? Comrades, power. Lastly, ndio niende kwa business and investments briefly. Wacha niwapee ka story kidogo, because ambition pia husaidia. Ambition ni usilive by chance. Unaona venye you just live by chance. Uko tu hapa UN, ile itakuwa ikue. Una graduate, sawa tu niende nikang'ang'ane kama wale wengine. Right from here, you must start thinking about you, what you'll be in the next many years to come. Na story nawapea mimi ni real. Mimi nilitoka primary school hapo village, nikaenda high school hapo tu village. Huko high school nikashona viatu from first year. I was a cobbler kwa wale wanafunzi wengine, because I needed pocket money. It was a boarding school but almost a day school. You know those boarding schools that are almost a day school? That one. It had actually become boarding like 2 years before we joined. It was previously mixed, first of all mixed boys and girls, but also mixed in terms of day and boarding. So by the time I was joining, it had been made pure boarding. And it had been made pure, no, it was still, I think, mixed men and women, boys and girls. So nikaigia hapo, kaanza kushona viatu. Lazima ningetafuta pocket money nikae kama wale wengine. Second, form 2, kuanza kuoperate canteen ya hiyo shule. Ilikuwa inaitwa Kiabugi, tukagoma sana, ikabadilishwa ikaitwa St. Paul's. Na hizo migomo sitaki kusema sana, lakini kuna vile hata mimi nilikuwa tu hapo. Sasa nikaanza kuuza canteen hapo, tukaendelea. My sister alikuwa na mtush Thika, nikaanza kuenda from 3-4 kuuza mtumba pale Mokireti Thika. From there nikatoka nikapata B+ as the only person who actually scored as a grade to transition to university in that school that year. I was the only one. So nikapita, kaitwa KU. Lakini sana nilikuwa na fees balance ya 33,000. Karudishwa pale nikakuwa librarian. Nilikuwa na earn 3K. 1,500 kukilia school fees. 1,500 ndio mshahara. Nikakangana like a year. Nika clear ile fee balance yangu. Sijui kama ili clear, I was able to clear all of it, but I cleared to the extent I could. So time came now, we were to join university around September or October there. So kibaru yangu ikaisha beginning of the year. That's why how I came hapo nilikuwa nawaambia Taita Estate. Kuna ghetto ilikuwa pale South B inaitwa Marigoini. Nilikuwa nakaa hapo. So naenda hapo. Now the reason nawaambia hivi ni hivi. Time nilikuwa librarian nikiwa hapo Kiabugi. Mimi nika dream kwa vitu mbili na nikaziandika pahali. Want to be wealthy, but number 2 to be a leader. Those two things. Na nikasema naanza kupasiu hizo vitu. Kusoma nini? Hizo stories zote za Abraham Lincoln. Mimi nilisoma hiyo time. That time. Because there was nothing I was doing pasi as a librarian in a small school. So nika join KU. Kujoin KU ni zile vitu na business. Na katakata story mrefu. So first sem, ile pesa ya ida na help, nikalipa school fees for the whole year. Because nilijua sasa hapa, mimi nikijoin campus, nilijua ndiasa ni mimi. Because my father alikuwa amepass. Kwa hiyo story yote nilikuwa nafanya na kuuza mtushi. So that I feel I'm a man. Because the rest at home they are sisters. So niko hapo hivyo KU first year. Sasa nimejisort, nimelipa fee ya whole year. Second sem. Kwanza hii first sem uberebere tu kuesa nimeingia huko nikakuwa rep. Class zetu niko class rep. Na class rep pia niliingia by default. because my sister alikuwa amefanya wedding. Sasa hii wedding nikabaiwa suit ya green ya kusimamia my sister akifanya wedding. So mimi nikiwa class na suti, my lecturer, maybe he's watching, we still talk to date, alikuwa anaitwa Mr. Kenya Jui, my lecturer wangu KU. So unajua vile lecturer anaigianga, anasema classes hapa university mna need class rep. Akasema, where you young man with a suit, you look like a class rep. That's how I became a class rep, because of my green suit. So berebere nikakuwa class rep hapo, sijui nini. So second sem is where many things happen. So niko second sem, mimi nikaenda KM. Najua mnaendaga KU. Lakini siju ya kusoma, najua why you go there. So mnajua Nyayo na KM mnaijua. So nikaenda hapo nikaanza ka hoteli. Sasa help ya second sem. Jamaa rafiki yangu maybe ana watch, ako UK anaitwa Wamwere. Nikamkopa help yake. Tukaenda Gikoba. Tukanunua masufuria. Sasa second sem unajua ni next year sasa. Inaanzaga hapa mwaka ikianza. So mimi na Wamwere tumeenda Gikoba tumenunua masufuria. Sasa kwenda kwa hoteli yangu Vatican Cafe. Ndio tulikuwa tunaita. Juu kulikuwa na Baghdad hapo KM, so nikaona Vatican watu wataipenda juu ya sentimental value. So nikachukua Wamwere tukaenda Gikosh. Lakini kufika Nairobi tunaulizana na Wamwere, kwani siku hizi Nairobi kuna uniform? Majamaa wamevaa black na kuna so many red Nairobi. Sisi tukasema wewe tutunue sufuria tuachane na hii story. Kuchukua sufuria Gikoba, kufika town ndio tuenda ile stage ya KU. Iko karibu Ruto'S. Wamwera akaniambia akona girlfriend. Kwanza nikashangaa huyu jamaa ako class ya juu aje. First year akona girlfriend. Nikajua hii ni dynasty. Kumbe hasra ni mimi peke yangu hapa. So Wamwera akaniambia niko na girlfriend Ruto'S Avenue. Tupite hapo tukimsalimia. Tukapita hapo tumebeba masufuria. Dem alikuwa anauza phone accessories. Nikaona anatuongelesha kama hatujui, nikashindwa kwani Wamwera anajiforce kwa huyu msichana. So unajua venye msichana anakuongelea hivi, bado ana hang phone accessories hapo, anapaguza. Hakuna eye contact. So si tukaenda KU. We later on came to realize this day, the reason why there were so many reds, it ilikuwa Valentine's Day. Na badala ya Wamwere apeleke maua, tunaenda na sufuria. So huyu msichana alikuwa anashangaa, hawa majamaa wananiambia wanafanya economics. Economics gani nasoma na sufuria? So nikaanza ka hoteli kakaanguka. Kwa sababu comrades walikuwa wanakuja wanakula, wanavu wananiambia tuonanie class. Sasa unakula kwa hoteli unanilipia class. Ka hoteli haikufanya poa, kaanguka. Same ile dream nyingine. Nikasema mimi navai. Nikavai kuwa Congressman School of Humanities and Social Sciences. BA tulikuanga hapo. Kuvai KU BA bana Congressman for the year I can defeat na 4 votes. Nikiwa fresher. Let me tell you that day. Nilikaenda kwa hostel. Nilikuwa nalala nasikia kama bed imewashwa jiko hapa chini. Because sasa hoteli imeanguka. Politics imezimia. Hiyo time sasa ya campus. Nikaona ama nikuwe tu just a normal student. History na jisubu. I was so stressed because I thought imefail yani kwa biashara na kwa siasa. Nikaona sasa ama nikuwe just a normal student, sionagi wakuwa na stress, wale wa class, library, nini. Na nikaona karibu nikuwe hivyo. Lakini haikuwezekana because bado nilikuwa nasukuma hiyo story. Na hiyo ndio same na kubukanga. My sister ndio alinivisit KU, nilikuwa namueleza kuna my sister alikam KU. Akakuja na nyama. Niko first year. Second sem. Pesa yangu imeishia hoteli. Ili kuwa imebaki imeishia siasa ya kuvai congressman. Alafu my sister anakuja na nyama. Mimi na rafiki yangu anaitwa Jemo tukaona, Sasa sema imebakia sijui wiki moja ama mbili. Tukikula hii nyama saa hii, the whole of the same tunafanya nini? Ilibidi tuuze hiyo nyama. Ndio ikuwe sukuma na unga ya kumalizia same. Na hiyo same ikaisha kama tuko watu very broke. Lakini after that nikasukuma long vacation, nikaenda nikapata internship in a stockbroking company. Na that is the basis of what I do in finance. Hii story yote naongeaga ya shares ilianza hiyo first year long vacation. Because in that long vacation nikaona sina fare, nimepewa na mayangu kwa nyumba, lakini sina fare ya kukuja town. Initially nilikuwa nimepata internship Ministry of Trade, gava huwa hailipi. So I used to just to come, na hatukuna job unapewa. So kuzurura town nikaona I visit my former MP called Genye Kariuki. Si anipe job, nimuonyeshe venye mimi ni kigogo ya vijana, anidunge kitu. So nilikuwa naenda nimwambia ama student leader, ukitaka kura ya kiharo ya vijana unione. Lakini nikapata a meeting. Secretary wake nikaona ananiangalia hivi juu tunajua makomrades zingine default tunabebaga CV hata hujui ni ya nini. Ama that time si tulikuwa wajuaji, ukiwa first year uko na CV. So nimebeba ka CV, nimepata mheshimiwa kwa meeting, lakini nimeambiwa na huyu secretary, mheshimiwa kwa meeting lakini unaweza acha CV. Mimi siko naenda kuuliza job. Lakini nikaona to be polite, nikaacha CV. After 2 days, mimi naona phone call. Kijana, unaitwa Ndindi? Ulikuja hapa kutafuta kazi? Yes sir. When can you come? Now sir. So nikaenda, it was a Wednesday. It was a Thursday. So nikaenda hapo nimedunga hivi. Mheshimiwa ndio huyu, mheshimiwa Genye Kariuki sasa. Young man. Then nikaanza kunipea story how we come from the same village. I didn't know much. Sikuwa najua lineage hiyo sana. Akaniuliza, you came here to ask for a job? Remember initially nilikuwa kutafuta kitu kidogo. Nikamwambia yes sir. When can you start? Now sir. Nilianza job hiyo afternoon. Na hata venye tulifungua after long vacation sasa kwenda second year. Sasa mimi nikakuwa mtu ana work na bado ako uni. So nilikuwa natoka university very early kukachi ile basi ya KU ndio ikuwe cheap fare. Alafu na leave office nikiwa late, nikiwa wa mwisho. Ndio pika waishuke, ndio fare ishuke. Sasa juu ya kukuja kazi mapema juu ya fare na kuenda KU very late juu ya fare, kampuni ikafikiria I am the most hardworking employee. So that ikiisha kukakuwa kuna peanwa ile employee of the year award. Nikapewa na nikapewa 50k. Juu ya fare, si ati juu ya job. So what I'm just trying to, hiyo ka story. No one paid my school fees. Not from there. Any school fees from hiyo time hakukuwa bursaries. Ni kungangana huku kimwanaume. And something kept pushing you or pushing me. Because nilikuwa mjuaji, nikapata student leadership, nini. My heart, I could never feel a bursary form hata zile za university. Because I was feeling like I don't deserve to get. So after that, second sem, ya second year, nikavai, nikakuwa student leader, na sasa tukafika mpaka kwenye tuko, graduating. Nikaambia my mother, wenye walikuja hapo graduation ceremony yangu. Nikawaambia waniobe nisipate job. Because I knew the best way or the most efficient way to trap me was to get a job. Nikawaambia mkienda muniobe ndio nisipate kazi. Ndio nisipate. Najua mnafikiria na make mistake. Si mistake. Sikuwaambia waniobe nipate job. Niliwaambia waniobe nisipate kazi. Hebu sema nisipate kazi. Najua hata hutaki kusema juu unataka job. So, comrades, when you set out to do something, then even when the others are so strong against it, I remember even that time after graduating, naona marafiki wangu, huyu amepata job Equity, asachukua kalona kona gari, huyu mwingine amepata job PWC. Nikaona ama nianze kuuliza job. Just imagine if I asked for that job then, nipate kazi Equity. Ningekuwa wapi saa hii? Ama the other place. I'm not saying it's not a good employer. I'm just saying it would have been better for me to aim to be an owner of Equity, but not to be an employee of Equity. And I was seeking to be a business owner, to be an employer. I was not seeking 1 minute to be somebody's employee. So when you set about to do something, ungangane huku Nairobi kimwanaume. Ungangane, saa zingine unaona kabisa, hey, convenience is that, let me just get a job, live a normal life. Please don't. If you are in medicine, au watu wote wako kwa hospitali ya kina Metropolitan, he's a man from my village, ni watu wako na damu kama yako. When you una dream at your dreamest of the dream, ni kupata kazi Absa, kupata job Equity Bank, which is now the largest bank in Kenya. My friends, Equity Bank ilianzishwa na mtu kaa wewe. So, even when you are getting a job ukiwa comrade, hiyo tu ni ya kukusaidia kuona how companies are run. It should not be an aid to itself. The aid of the aid should be you owning that bank, not the bank owning your labor and your hearts and your brain. Naenda kumaliza naongea two things which they have also been very far-reaching to me. One is business. The other one is this is business and entrepreneurship. The other one is investments. Hebu nikuulize wewe my bro. Uko hapa UN kufanya nini? Kupata degree. Then pata job. Then nilipe mshahara. So wacha kunipea story mingi. Wewe uko UN kupata pesa. Hii story nyingine unanipea hapa katikati ni kizigizio tu. Ulikuja hapa ndio upate job barafu. Juu ya nini? Si ndio ya pesa? Uko hapa, all those stories when it comes to income, kuna vocation, kuna hobby, kuna the other things we'll talk about, we may not talk about today because of time, but straight jacket speaking, you enhance your education so that you enhance your productivity. And so that the reward of your productivity is also increased. And the reward of productivity is wages. And wages is salaries. So you are here only for one thing. Hii BCom unafanya, tumekuonea 18. Hakuna story ya BCom. Wewe ni job unataka. Na utaki job juu unataka kutumikia watu, unataka mshahara. So, ukiwa hapa then jiulize, what is the shortest route between me and money? So that, sasa hii story ingine unafanya hapa katikati, wewe uko unajua unaifanya yes. But, strip it so that you seek your clear goal. So, it's money. Hii story unaniambia, oh, you know, I feel like I'm gifted to work in a bank. Okay, endelea na hizo tu story. Helps you to do one thing. To pass through this comfort of feeling you are doing things normally. So if you are here na unafanya BCom, unafanya econ, campus for me inakuaga place ya open mind, sio place ya kusoma. At the graduate for me, yes, strive to get that first class, It's good. Itakusaidia pahali. Even to prove a point, it will help you. Just for people to hear you had a first class. But ukifanya hiyo first class na all that, don't lose your eyes from the goal itself. Then jiulize hii mapema leo. Ukitoka campus upate job ya 150,000 as a fresh graduate. Ya 150. Tuseme wewe sasa ni yule mtu gam, usave 100,000 a month. In a year utakuwa umesave pesa ngapi? In a year? Nisaidieni bana kusema 1.2. So in 10 years utakuwa umesave pesa ngapi? Ceteris paribus, holding all other factors constant. Utakuwa umesave how much? 12 million. Huwa una graduate ukiwa miaka gapi? Anamo graduate 24, 25. Kuja rafiki yangu, hii suti haiwezi potelea chini. Kuja tafadhali. I think you are the person I was describing. You are very smart. Tumpigie makofi. Kuja ndugu yangu. Kuja ni hapa. Wewe, acha kuangalia mwingine, ni wewe. Kuja hapa ndugu yangu. Nataka mkiwaona mnakumbukaga hii point. Sawa? Una graduate ukiwa what age mostly?
24.
What is your dream car?
Prado.
Haya, what's your dream car?
Toyota Hilux.
Haya, ukigraduate ungetaka ukue unakaa in the next 10 years hivi. Ungetaka ukue unakaa mtaa gani hapa Nairobi?
Karen.
Huyo hata asimamia hata huyo. Sasa nataka mchukue bairo na kalamu. So ukitoka hapa, which course are you taking?
Agriculture.
If you are so lucky as a fresh graduate, utapata job ya how much month ukiwa your first salary?
Hapo 80 ama 50.
To double ikuwe 150. Tuseme you are luckiest of the luckiest. So in a year tumesema umesave how much? In 10 years? In 20 years? 24 million. Najua wengi mtaniambia salary itakuwa added. Ndio maana hata nimechukua double yake na kuna kitu inaitwa time value for money. 150,000 ya saa hii itakuwa different ya next 10 years. So that's why we have standardized that salary. So in 20 years you graduated at 24, utakuwa age gani? 24. In 20 years utakuwa
44.
So na hapo saa hiyo umesave how much? Plot Karen ni pesa ngapi? Half. Plot ya Karen, give it 40 million for half an acre. So wacha kwanza tutoke huko. Wacha kwanza tuende Kahawa Sukari. Kahawa Sukari plot ni 15 million saa hii. So that time, as you increase the salary, remember also the land will be increasing. That's why we are working with the present value of the salary. So Prado ni how much? Ipatie 10. 10 plus 15 ile ya plot Kahawa Sukari. So in 44 years, you'll have a plot in Kahawa Sukari and a Prado. But the plot you'll have no house. Is that the kind of life you want to live? So I have called them here mkuwe mnawakumbuka. Supposing my brother here amepata job. Apata hiyo job the best. So he'll be driving in the next 2 years after graduating. So he'll be salivating because a fresh graduate is driving. Tuseme my brother here aseme staki hiyo job, mimi nangangana. Aingie kwa biashara ianze zero. The first 1 year anapata tu ya kulipa rent. By the 4th year ame break the glass ceiling. And in the 5th year already ashatengeneza 50 million. So many times we want this convenience ya kuwa normal, doing things normally. But then you are 44, a plot and a Prado, na tumeweka life yake constant. Hana school fees analipia mtu, hana nothing. na ana save kama kabisa mtu anapenda pesa. Because mtu wa 150,000 saving 100,000 is almost an impossibility. Kaeni chini. I called you for image, mkuwe mnakumbuka. Wapigieni makofi. So ukiwa campus, don't tell me you are not a businessman. Businessmen kwani uzaliwaje? Don't tell me, you know, the world has a space for everyone. We need people in the offices. Exactly the point. That's why you are in this forum. All the people in this forum, they came because they can be business people. How wakuajiriwa wacha wakuwe wenye hawako hapa. And I wish like half of us here, in many years to come, will have refused to get jobs and will have taken over the idea of having businesses, and you'll be running businesses and employing people. Now, start with the idea as a business. Idea must be something you love, something you always feel like you're in vacation doing, because remember, you are still living even when you are doing business. So, usivumilie kufanya biashara. You know the way unaweza ajiriwa kufanya job, ukiamuka tu hivi, your heart is sinking. Even in business, stop just doing it for money, because you not do it with passion. Start with an idea which you are passionate about, but differentiate between passion and hobby. So that you don't chase a hobby thinking you are chasing a business idea. That person has to have market. If your hobby, your passion has no market, you are in delusion. You are delusional. And I want to tell you this because with all much respect, Kenya, for example, let's say wewe ni muibaji. It doesn't pay in Kenya. You are a writer. I have written a book, so I am telling you the things that are practical. There is no money. So differentiate between where iba hapa hivi ni sawa, tutafurahia songs, lakini ujue utafute biashara, hiyo sio biashara in Kenya. Because if there was, tungesimamisha watu 10 hapa waseme walipata millions of money from singing. So do it as a hobby. You love doing it, but still look for that business idea. Business idea is something you can actually sell. And as you do that, look for something you can make a product which people can buy to use. They will not be buying to sympathize with you. You know the way unaanza kabiashara hapa ya kuuza socks hapa campus. You are begging your classmates, you are appealing to their sympathy to buy your products. That's not a business. Hiyo ni kusubua watu. You know the way you are a lady, unauzaga bags, na uko chama. Ukifika chama, people can't breathe. You are bulldozing selling bags to them. They buy to please you. That's not a business. That's coercion. I'm not talking about coercion and sympathy related. Look for a business where you can make a product that actually people buy. And after you do that, structure it. Whatever small you start as a business, structure it. Structure it by keeping books of account. Hata kama ni kwa Excel. So that later on you can commercialize that. Because after you do that, you already have a product, whatever. It can be a service or a real product. As you sell it, maybe you are CPAK and you are BCom, useme mimi staki job, naanza my own farm. So from day one, the first client, keep books of account. Later on, scale. For you to be very wealthy, you have to scale your business. You have to. When you have a business where you only sell with your own mouth, that can only sustain you to live. It can't make you wealthy. Wealth is created out of scalability. You can scale the product. Scaling means you can do it in mass. It can serve many more people. And after that, think about financing. Na uko na kabiashara, ulikuwa unauza phone accessories, na ulianza kufanya ukiwa campus, kamekuwa kakubwa, umeenda China, ukaona you can actually start assembling here in Kenya. You've actually started, but you need some boost of money. So which are the sources of money? somebody to give you, bank to lend you. Those are the ones we know. So I'm not talking about the ones you know. I'm talking the ones we rarely explore. If you just Google now, later on your free time, you realize Kenya had billions of money last year coming into Kenya on something called private equity. Then you wonder, who are these people? Private equity is this. You have a fund company, an accessory company. You've upgraded, now you are doing assembly. But for you to scale, you need 20 million shillings. You own 100% of your business. So you call somebody with, they come into your business. You give them 25% of that business. If you give them 25% of that business, and they have given you 20 million, you can now bring it down. It can be 2 million, 1,500,000. I'm just using it for simplicity's sake. It means your business from there is valued at 80 million shillings. Because if somebody gave you 20 million, and you give them a quarter of the business, it therefore means the entire business is valued at 80 million. So you buy the machines and you scale further. But you realize Kenya is becoming small. You want to expand to the region. So you need to expand even bigger machinery, bigger equipment. So you source in somebody with 50 million shillings. That person with 50 million shillings comes in and you give them 10% of the business because it has already grown. Remember, you had already given somebody 20%, 25%. You've given another 10%. But this 10%, because the company is already grown, you took 50 million for 10%. So the entire business is now valued at 500 million. So your remaining 65% is worth much more than when you had the 100% of that business. And if you took a loan. So think beyond traditional ways of financing. Because I have never seen a company that has excelled through loans. None. Facebook was venture capital. Tesla, venture capital. PayPal, venture capital. All of Meta, which is now Facebook, Nvidia, which is one of the largest companies in the world. Venture capital and PE. So you continue now owning less percentage, but of a bigger value. So as you do business, have that at the back of your mind all the time. All the time let it be in the back of your mind. That you are not creating a kiosk. You are creating a behemoth of a company. Let it always ring in your mind. That for you to get into billions, you can't do it through a kiosk. You have to expand beyond there. Beyond subsistence. You can't do it through subsistence. You know the business you do because uko na pahali ya kwenda asubuhi? No. That's not why you came to the UN. You came here to do bigger things. And as you do all that, kama hiyo story nawapia a percentage, and I keep repeating here, I want to repeat to you. Mnaona Equity Bank walitengeneza profit ya 75.5 billion Kenya shillings last year. Equity ni ya nani? Ni ya nani? Ebu shout. Shout better. I think I'll send him this clip. Shout better. Who owns Equity Bank? Now listen here, guys. He owns 5% of Equity Bank. But all of us know Nyanani. He owns 5%. Institutional investors are larger than him. He is the single largest individual shareholder, yes? But there are many more companies which own Equity Bank bigger stake than him. But look at it this way. They made 75 billion in net profits. So they're paying dividend of 22 billion shillings to shareholders. So what is 5% of 22 billion? No. 5% of 22 billion. So him, as an individual, he's getting dividend of how much? My brother? He's getting dividend of 1 point. Imagine that. So he had 1.1 billion in dividend. Take any company in the NSC, take Sanlam, a whole listed company. Take Kakuzi. Kakuzi is an entire listed company which owns tracts of land in Muranga. They made a profit of around 300 million shillings, the entire company. So, would you rather be owning 100% of Kakuzi or 5% of Equity Bank? 5% of Equity Bank is giving one person 1.1 billion in dividends. And remember, sitahesabu ile ameritain. If you just do the profit, 5% of 7.5 billion is how much? 5% of 75.5 billion. Can you imagine? So his 5% only made a profit of 3.75 billion shillings. So always have that at the back of your mind. If you combine all agricultural companies in Kenya, Kapchorwa Tea, Rimuru Tea, Kakuzi, Sasini, all combined, their 1 year profit is less than the profit James Mwagi, who owns 5% of Equity Bank, is getting in dividend as a single shareholder. So, what I'm saying, if you want, you can still keep your 100% of your business and keep earning less. But I don't think that is a wise thing to do. The last thing is investments. Investments. Ukiwa tu campus mapema, start knowing that buying land is not the only investment there is in Kenya. Start knowing that. Because as much as I've told you to go into business, I know some of you will still go back to jobs. So you get your salary. So what do? Hey, unajua nikitoka Sharks niliambiwa mwanaume lazima akuwe na shamba. So the first salary you start paying for, you take a loan, you start buying a plot. Expand your mind about what capital markets this. Ujue shares ni nini, fungua CDS account, na usiniambie huna pesa. You can buy shares at 1,000 shillings. Answer, at least for learning purposes. Uelewe. And I can tell you here as an alumni of UON and KU, I have made more money passively than actively. Me, not red. The money I've made through working actively, through business. There is a time I had an IT company connecting watu na internet, nini, hizo story, mingi hivo. Doing all those, I have made more money in multiples than I have made in active business. So, expand your horizon. The people you see, akina Zuckerberg, akina Elon Musk, when you hear Elon Musk is worth 800 billion shillings, it's not money that has passed through his hands. It is the valuation of his companies that have increased. Let's say the Kenya Power, I have a few shares there. So, you buy these shares at 1.8 shillings 2 years ago. The shares are now 16 shillings. Which active business would have given me that money? So what I'm trying to say is that expand your horizon between what you know, beyond what you know. Ujue US, stock market ya US ni gani na gani. Hii New York Stock Exchange ni nini. Nasdaq ni nini. Singaporean stock market ni nini. What is listed there? What is even this NSE we hear about here Kenya? Hii ni nini. Plan even a trip to visit NSE. The CEO will host you there. Know what things happen there. So that by the time you are leaving, you are grounded in terms of investments. Nipigieni makofi. So, ya mwisho, nataka niongee mambo mbili peke yake ya nchi. And I didn't come here for politics today. That's why I want to restrict myself. But I want to say two things. One is that it is important. I think nisimame hapa ndio ikae serious. So there are two things I want to speak about, national ones. And I want to request our leaders those who are in decision-making levels in government, you are trivializing a very important matter of fuel supply chain in Kenya. And I'm wondering how leaders are getting time to do politics now when the country needs a very sober and entrenched decision on how Kenya is going to deal with an imminent disruption soon, in a matter of weeks. Tunaona wale wako serikalini, the only thing they are talking about is supply. Oh, there is a ship that has docked into Kenya. It's fine. But this has to be alongside at what cost? And when we see our fuel dealers are holding fuel, it is mostly a matter of signaling. When you hold 1 million liters of fuel and you are sure that there will be a drastic increment soon, what do? You hold because you are in money, you are in profits. But it's also the work of government to signal the right communication to the market. There are only 3 things the government can do to make Kenyans brace themselves in this disruption. Na tumeona nchi zingine zishaanza hiyo mikakati, because they are not living in wishing, they are living in planning. Kenya, our economy cannot afford a drastic increment in fuel prices. That is very clear. Our consumers cannot afford to pay a drastic increment in pump prices of fuel because it is already stretched. Because mafuta has a multiplier effect, fares, manufacturing, unga, inflation, everything is bound up together in fuel. Na mimi nataka niulize serikali haraka waanze mikakati. There are only 3 things that can happen. One is to give subsidies to Kenyans, starting next month. The second one is for the government to remove the 8% they added in fuel, so that our VAT in fuel can go even up to 0. And the third thing is to remove the 7 shillings per liter that was added into the fuel levy in the year 2024. We are talking about this matter now. It doesn't seem like it is present, but it's present here with us. And a prudent government ought to be planning now. Planning that they will not come on TV to give Kenyan stories about Iran. Kabla walegesha na wateremshe bei VAT, kabla wateremshe fuel levy, na kabla waongeza wa Kenya subsidy. Na nimeenda na nikaangalia PDL, ile inaitwa Petroleum Development Levy in Kenya. It has around 25 billion shillings. Kenya consumes around 12.5 million liters of diesel and petrol. We consume close to 400 million liters of fuel in a month. 25 billion can barely give subsidy for a month. And therefore, mimi nauliza watu wa National Treasury, there is an ongoing supplementary in Parliament now. It is upon them to send a memorandum to Parliament, provisioning for enough money to subsidize fuel in Kenya, because I am giving them free advice. If they don't do that, Kenyans will force them to do that, and it will not be in a polite way. So mimi nawauliza mambo ya mafuta, serikali mapema mufanye kama serikali zingine za ulimwengu. Nchi ambayo haitoi mafuta, ile kitu unafanya ni kuangalia levies and taxes na kupeana subsidy. Kwa sababu serikali isikae pahali ijaribu kuimagine ya kwamba Kenyans wata shoulder fuel increment without government doing something about it to ameliorate the matter. So lazima, na ni mapema tunasema mapema kwa sababu muda iko, at least a week or 2. Wale wako serikalini mapema Mjue ya kwamba Wakenya wanatumia 12.5 million liters of fuel daily. Around 400 million liters of fuel, diesel and petrol per month. The Petroleum Development Levy collection, ambayo ni ya stabilization of fuel in Kenya, kwa sasa iko na bilioni 25 peke yake. Ukiangalia ya kwamba ulimwengu disruption ya mafuta vile imeenda, inaonyesha ya kwamba this 25 billion can only cover like just 1 month of subsidy. So mapema mimi nawauliza hivi, sasa kwamba kuna supplementary inafanyika bunge, waongeze pesa ya fuel stabilization. But the second thing, vile tu waliongeza bei ya mafuta kupitia kodi, sasa wakati imefika ya Kenya kupeleka chini VAT ya mafuta. Na vile fuel levy iliongezewa mwaka wa 2024 through a gazette notice by the minister in charge of transport, wakati imefika sasa Wakenya waondolewe hiyo kodi, so that kwa hii disruption ya mafuta ulimwenguni Wakenya wasigongwe sana, kwa sababu Wakenya wakigongwa sana viwanda zitagongwa na bei ya maisha itapanda. And I can assure the people in government, this will not be a very good situation even for you in government. Ya mwisho, Kenyans, we have an obligation, all of us. We can't keep, as comrades here, you have your right to complain when things don't go right, is it? But we also must do something about it as Kenyans. And now there is a process ambayo inaendelea Kenya ya kuchukua kura. Na vijana wa Kenya wamekuja na program ya Niko Kadi. Mimi nauliza hawa watu wako serikalini, because we've been there and we know. The people in government are trying to associate themselves with this program that is coming out from the young people of Kenya, so that they sabotage it. And I want to tell them, it will not be possible to sabotage the Niko Kadi program ya vijana wa Kenya. Even me, I'm a politician, but I want the young people of Kenya, the same way you organized yourself in 2024, without any interference with us as politicians. Even Niko Kadi, wale wako serikalini, tafadhali, hata kama tunaiba kitu ingine yeyote, tusiibe mfumo ya vijana ya Niko Kadi. It must be let to run organically. And the young people of Kenya, don't be distracted. Please, do not be distracted. Wacha tuulizane maswali huko bere, kama wa vijana wote wa Kenya wako na voters, the voters card, wako registered, na wanajihami vizuri kufanya ile wanataka kufanya next year. Na mimi nikiangalia naona kile mnataka kufanya. Vijana oye! Kenya oye! So, please, from here and the University of Nairobi, comrades wanasema, you guys in government, the Niko Kadi campaign is an organic program by the young people of Kenya. And the young people in Kenya are telling those in government, please keep off from stealing the idea. Keep off from sabotaging the idea. Keep off from branding the idea. It is an organic program from the young people of Kenya. Wewe kama unataka story yako, anza yako. Please keep the focus, my brothers and sisters. Keep the focus. People would want you to lose faith hapa katikati, msichukue kura. But I'm very glad. Na nimefurahi sana. Malaini zinapangwa zinakaa hivi. Na kuna watu wanaona vijana wamepanga line wanachukua kura, wanaanza kutetemeka. Vijana wanawaambia mtatetemeka bado hamjaanza. Kwa sababu malaini zitaendelea kujaa. Na vijana watachukua kura. The young people of Kenya watachukua kura. Na sisi wa Kenya wote, na wahisi, kila mtu, let us register as Kenyans to be voters next year so that our civic duty can do something into making Kenya a better place. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that.